You guys are in for a real treat. Today's guest is someone who really lives out the idea of redefining success. Alex Peykoff is a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, transformational coach, and a powerful speaker known by many as the Transformation Titan. He's also part of the family behind Niagara Bottling, the largest privately owned bottling company in the US. On paper, Alex had everything, but deep down something was missing. That feeling of full bank account, empty sense of purpose pushed him to take a hard look at what truly matters, and that journey completely changed him. Now through his book, The Satisfaction Guarantee, and the coaching programs he leads, Alex helps high achievers shift from burnout and pressure into clarity, alignment, and real satisfaction. Whether he's speaking on stage or working with entrepreneurs behind the scenes, his mission is the same: to help people create a life that actually feels as good as it looks. Alex, thank you so much for being here with us today. I've been looking forward to this call a lot because after reading your book, first off, we met, we vibed, we connected on really good energy. But then after I read your book, I was like, holy cow, did you write this for my audience? It's to the T exactly what I would have loved to regurgitate. And I love how straightforward it is. It's just like gold nugget after gold nugget. So I just want to say thanks first and foremost for being here, for sharing your message and your mission, and welcome.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you. I'm kind of a weirdo. We've met in Orlando, and I don't know if I'm weird. I'm just present. And when someone tells me they read my book and there's all these gold nuggets in it, that book is my life. It's almost like when we were joking, we were writing it. So I wrote the first one. The second one is more of it's the operating manual of life that worked for me, and it resonates with so many people. And and it was funny because when I wrote it, I started reading the reviews. I go, okay, I got it. And because it's hard to tell your story, right? Because you have to feel safe, you have to trust people, and I've got to be vulnerable, just throw everything out there. And that's what I did. And so it's hard for me not to smile with glee right now, because no matter how many books you write or how much you talk, you still have that doubt inside. Am I saying something that means anything, right? Because it's really personal. And the fact that you commented, that's kind of like the ultimate high for me right now. So thank you so much. And I'm super happy to share my story and talk to you about different things in life, and hopefully that all resonates with your audience.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and on that note, I felt like we were having a conversation. That's what made it so easy to read, was I just sat down, I was feeling like you were talking to me. So in a weird way, I feel like I probably know you more than you know me because of just how much I got out of this book. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is that our audience kind of comes from the other end of things. You have this amazing insight because you have a family that's built this legacy, and you were born into the world of a successful business. But other people are trying to become financially successful in order to live, to support their family, to be free. Where do you think the balance is? What if you could fill their mind with something that could give them some insight on where that balance point is, and how to actually live with that fulfillment? What would you say to them?
I wish there was an easy answer, but I'm going to try and say it my way. I think a lot of what we're trying to get that balance, we don't know what balance is. We're taking the balance of what society is telling us what balance is, right? And we really need to redefine what that is. And for me, I had to redefine what felt good, right? What really made me happy. And so I don't focus so much on success. I focus more on passion. And following my passion is how I kind of got that balance. And I started learning something. If I'm doing something that doesn't feel good, why do I keep on doing it over and over and over and over? And I started realizing I am the most advanced computer on this planet. Human beings are the most advanced computer. I said, what if I could just go back to that original person? When you're a little kid, you have balance, you have regulation, you can feel, and you know what's right or wrong. We're not idiots when we're born, but as we get older, we get bombarded by everybody else's truth, everybody else's agenda, and we forget about really what made us feel good. So what I tell people is reboot yourself, go back to when you felt good. There's a time in your life you'll remember, hey, you know what? I felt good on this day. And then you can go back and say, when did I start feeling bad? And you can start pinpointing, here's what happened. Here's where I took that left turn or that right turn, or I have regrets on certain things like that. It's really about having a healthy dialogue with yourself and telling yourself the truth and not comparing. When we're looking at that balance, we're always comparing. I should have this, I should have that. All you should have is, you shouldn't have to worry about shoulding. You should have to focus on what feels good. Your number one job, my number one job, and I tell everybody all the time, and it's going to sound so dumb, but it's like the way you talk about, I'm just talking plain sense. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. My number one job is don't hurt Alex. Okay, everybody in your audience, their number one job when they wake up is to not hurt themselves. But we don't think about that. We think about pleasing this person and pleasing that person. If you please yourself, everybody else will see that you're actually happy and you're running your life unconditionally. When you're trying to balance everything, I guarantee you, you're bouncing from a conditionality standpoint.
Yeah, it's so good. And when you say like telling the truth, which you mention a lot in your book, is tell yourself the truth. How do people get to the basis? This is actually something a lot of my clients struggle with. We call it like getting to the key elements of your life design, which is what you talk about, your passion, your roadmap, the things that make you truly happy. But how do people get to the truth of that? How do they identify that for themselves when there's all this noise that's already kind of conditioned into their brains?
Well, there's a step I created. I call it emotional debt, right? And even on my website, there's a little quiz that kind of helps you with your emotional debt. So that emotional debt is the programming we got from somebody else, whether it was mom, dad, uncle, an ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife, all those type of things. So we need to unlearn all those things that we learned because we were learning them in that pleasing standpoint. And we were learning it because that's what someone told us what was right. But just because it was right for them doesn't mean it was right for us. So again, I'm going to back up a little bit. You need to figure out where you felt good and what feels good for you. So you start unlearning it. And then you can't all of a sudden tell yourself, hey, stop thinking about something. Your brain doesn't work that way, right? So you need to reprogram yourself or redirect. Most of your clients and most of your guys are probably mothers, right? So how many times when your child was growing up did you tell them, no, 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 no? Most likely you didn't tell them that. You redirected them, right? Because no one likes to hear the word no. So if you're telling your body, stop doing this, it's not going to do that. But if you redirect it to back to a time where something worked for you successfully, just do that again. But stop buying into someone else's agenda. Remember your truth. And going back to your exact question is you have to know what your truth is before you can tell yourself the truth. And the way I make it, what makes me feel good. And so I'm a very weird person. I go places where I can just shut down. For me, I'll go walk on the beach where there's nothing there. And I will sit there and stare at that ocean and watch the waves come in and out, in and out. And I find out what makes me feel good. And I'll back up a little bit. October 11th, my mother passed away. And the first 3 days were really, really difficult. I lost my truth. I was being bombarded by someone else's truth of me on how they viewed my relationship with my mother. And so I'm walking on the beach in Palm Beach and I'm crying my eyes out. I'm listening to the song by Yaz's, All I Needed, and pouring my eyes out, crying my eyes out. And I started listening to that song over and over. And what that song was about is all I needed was the love you gave me. So when you're going back to your truth, all you need is the love you give yourself. And that's what heals you. But we forget to love ourselves. We forget to honor ourselves. We forget to protect ourselves. In society, we overthink it. Go back to the basics. That's all I can say, real short, simple. Just go back to the basics. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it feels good, keep on doing it over and over and over and over and over. You'll never get tired of something feeling good.
I love that. So do you think that that's maybe the first step? Like when people are trying to create this financial independence or this vision for their business, do you think that they struggle to successfully scale because of all these things that you mentioned in your book, like energy vampires, not having passion, not having a clear why?
Yeah, basically, I think people need to redefine why they're doing what they're doing. Right? You're going through life, working your job, and you're doing it to become wealthy, to become financially wealthy. Wrong direction. 1,000% wrong direction. My dad created a very, very big business. My brother took it to the next level. I guarantee you, when my dad started his business, never once did he think about becoming a millionaire or much less a billionaire. Never, 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 never. You know what he thought about? He thought about providing an environment for his family, putting a roof over the head, being present, and being the best he could. All these people that are going out there and when you're chasing wealth, you're in that comparison mindset, right? Because you want to have this. Everybody says, I'm going to be wealthy. Why are you accumulating wealth, financial wealth? Because I want this. I want a second house. I want all that stuff. That's not wealth.
Hmm.
Wealth is connection and friendship. So you need to redefine that. And once you redefine what wealth is to you, you won't have that stress, in my opinion. But you're always trying to accumulate more money. And I tell people this: instead of trying to become a millionaire, why don't you find out how much money you need a day to survive? Okay. And let's say that's $300. Okay. Easy number, $1,500 a week. But now let's say you happen to make $3,000. Now you can put that rest in the bank for some security. But everybody's trying to climb Mount Everest. Not everybody's going to make it to the top of Mount Everest. But you know what? We can all be content, and we can all live within a dimension that makes us feel good. The majority of people out there would love to probably go retire on an island instead of working 9 to 5. Well, that's a reality. How do you do that? Quit putting such a hard goal out there. I want to wake up every day happy. That's my number one goal. So if I keep on waking up happy every day, you know what? Different things are going to happen to me. More doors are going to open. More opportunities are going to be present to me. I think I told you this in Orlando, where I told the audience, if I walk into a room and I'm 6 feet tall, and I walk in with my head down and I'm 5'11", what am I doing? I'm losing my ability to connect with people. And so when we're focusing so much acquiring wealth, we're losing who we really are and what our real purpose is. You have to go back to what your purpose is and what your passion is, and quit chasing everything that everybody else is telling you to do. And I'm going to keep on going back. What makes you feel good? Not what society's telling you. What makes you feel good? And quit focusing on success. Focus on satisfaction. That's why both books have the word satisfaction in them. Satisfaction is something you determine. If you're trying to be successful, by whose definition? You can look at the dictionary of success. It's going to be very cut and dry.
Yeah.
Satisfaction is this whole gamut of what you want to do. The Rolling Stones didn't write a song called "I Can't Get No Success." They wrote "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" because it was something. There were so many choices of what to do.
You had this quote that I wrote down, says, find something simple that brings you joy and allow yourself to enjoy that feeling. And then when you notice, you step out of this place of contentment by slowing down to adjust your perspective, attitude, and behavior, and respect becomes your dominant pattern. And I love this because it ties into the idea of self-respect, self-care. You can't give what you don't have. So how can you respect others when you're not respecting yourself first? You had so many ties between, self-confidence and not needing that from other people. And something about that, I think, creates energy, right? You talked about like the energy currency. That was the word.
Yeah, energy is
And I feel like when you have the self-respect, you have that satisfaction, that energy currency grows.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first book I focused so much on respect. The first book I talked about respect, passion, and gratitude. And I'm glad you brought that up because respect, for me, is the key to everything in life. The most money I've made and the most money I've lost was based on respect or the lack of respect.
Mm.
When you respect yourself, life is really easy. So what does that look like? Okay. Sleep. It's really important to sleep a lot. Keep yourself hydrated, making sure you're okay, right? For me, I'm a very different bird, like I said. So I do things to make sure I'm okay. So every day I will find something that centers me, whether it's looking at the sunset, walking on the beach, or right now in Mississippi, so I'll go walk out on a ranch and kind of look at everything beautiful. That's respecting my body and my mind. Now I'll always go work out also. It's because I want to respect that part of me. But now I want to respect others as well. How am I going to gain respect from other people if I don't respect myself? So I need to go in there and engage. I don't expect people to respect me right out of the gate unless they see that I'm respecting myself. So respect, when you look at it, it's really simple, but we forget to respect ourselves because it's not in our society anymore.
Right.
Even little kids, there's just no respect, and it's really unfortunate. So how many times do you go to a restaurant and you're traveling, and do you say thank you? I mean, just thank you to the person who's flying the airplane. And I mean, I bring 5 books with me every time I travel, and they're all gone. And I always tell people, thank you so much. Or, yeah, I really respect the passion you have for life and your jokiness. It really made it nice. And all the time they will say, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I connected with them on respect. I didn't sit there and say, man, you're a piece of you know what, or I didn't complain, I didn't bitch. Can I do that? Yes. It doesn't work for me. My daughter used to always ask me, Dad, how can you get so much stuff from people? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you're always getting free stuff. You're always getting upgrades. You're always getting this stuff. are you just being nice to people so you can get that? I said, no. So she started learning. She goes, Dad, I learned so much about growing up with you. I learned that when I'm respectful to people, all these things happen for me. I said, Mia, people like to give, but you have to give them a reason to give. And you have to give them their permission slip to give. And that starts with a respect.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, and I know I'm going to say this the wrong way. Do you know how much it cost me to do that?
Nothing.
It cost me zero. And I changed somebody's life. That's just give from your, re-empower your heart. And you have to do that by respect. Let your heart do what it's designed to do besides pumping blood, but it is supposed to feel, right? It's supposed to communicate with your brain, that short path. And just start being respectful of people. Tell people, acknowledge people, compliment people. That's all about respect. But it's hard to compliment people when you don't like yourself. And when you don't like yourself, you know why? You're not respecting yourself. And you want to bitch and complain about everybody else.
A lot of our audience, for lack of a better term, like to make themselves to be martyrs. I mean, it's not a nice way to say it, but like we do, right? Like we want to sacrifice ourselves for the happiness of others because we're taking care of our family, we're taking care of our team, our business, and that's where the lack of self-respect comes from. It's like, well, I'm okay with putting myself off or getting sick or not getting sleep tonight because I'm going to help save everybody else. Can you talk to us a little bit about why that doesn't work?
Well, I'd ask your audience this. Are you? I'd ask them, are you? Are you okay? See, we have a culture, we lie to ourselves. You're not okay. And again, I'm a huge advocate of women because I raised a daughter by myself. So I see things through a different lens, right? And yes, I'm a man, but men have been taught some really crappy stuff on how to treat women, right? It's really, really unfortunate. And I saw it firsthand with my daughter that her being devalued, her being, I call it sexified, her going from an internal validation to an external validation. So, for women in that dynamic, I think they need to communicate what they want and why they're doing what they're doing. A lot of times you're doing all this stuff because that's the way your husband's going to validate you in your mind, but that's not the right validation. But wouldn't you rather sit there and not have to be bouncing all over those for those moment of physicality? Wouldn't there be a better way where you can get intimacy from your companion by just asking him and telling him this is what I need? And I
Yeah.
think you start communicating that, I think you're going to change the reason why you're doing certain things. Because right now, most people are doing stuff because they want some acknowledgement from their partner. So they're doing it with conditions. They're not doing it unconditionally. And if
Right.
you know
Or
the dynamic,
maybe acknowledgement from their parents or from
anybody,
their
right.
peers. Yeah.
A really well-known therapist, respectful, she passed away in July of last year, and she told me this: no one's a mind reader, and we were talking about relationships. She goes, well, did you ask her? I said, what do you mean ask her? Well, how does she know what you want if you don't ask her or tell people, right? So in that dynamic, we focus on so many things that we don't have as opposed to the things that we do have, right? And in a relationship, whether it's a mom or dad or boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you know, focus on the things that you like about somebody as opposed to things you don't like. If you keep on pointing out things people don't like, you're going to keep on trying to do things to make everything okay.
Yeah.
Focus on the wins. And the problem is inside, we're focusing on all things that are wrong. So you're trying to fix them all the time.
Well, and they're doing that about themselves too.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it's like sometimes people are like, I have this problem, or my daughter will be like, I'm just trying to fix this, I'm trying to fix that. And I'm like, who told you need to fix anything about that?
That's why I go back to emotional debt. Someone told you something. Okay. Most likely they didn't say it unconditionally.
Hmm.
And men particularly do it to women a lot. Parents do it to kids all the time. It's one of the biggest things. Jonathan Haidt talks about. Some really well-known clinical psychologists talk about the damage that words have. Okay, when I was a kid, I never wore shorts because I was told I had bird legs, right? So I also said I need to fix that. So now I'm trying to do something for somebody else, not for me. So going back to your question is, you have to do it for you. Okay. When you're being the best version of yourself, people will be drawn to you. But if you keep saying, I need to do this for so and so, no, you don't. Who said that? And here's the question: what happens if you don't do it? Does the world end tomorrow? Guess what? It's not going to. And here's the great thing: maybe you stop doing it, right? And you find out, oh, maybe this relationship isn't what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the one making it work and the other person's not making it work. Or maybe there's no value here because there should be a give and take in a relationship. And so maybe just stop. I'm not saying stop for a week, stop for one day and focus
Yeah.
on you and watch what happens. My daughter called me yesterday and she's going through a lot of stuff because she's dealt with her own insecure attachment because of the dynamic she had with her mother on and off through, she only saw her a little time. And she calls me up and she tells me what happened with this relationship with this boy. And I'm going to make this short. And she's going off. She's like, I know. When I'm not with this person, I feel so much better. I work out, I'm happy.
Mhm.
Okay. So you have the answer. Now, how do you do it?
Mhm.
That's the difference. And the way to do it, you didn't get in that situation in 1 minute. You're not going to get out of it in 1 minute, but you gradually start doing things for you and you get your power back. You have to remember some of these people take your power, whether it's mom, dads, husbands, wives, friends. That's what they do. People do that, unfortunately. But there are good people out there. But keep in mind, the majority of people in North America are unhappy. 57% of the people in North America are lonely. So they're going to sit there and try to push you down because
Mm.
you're in their safe field.
You said, remember that everything in your life, the joys and the sorrows, molds you to the person you are now. So don't shy away from it. Don't evade reality. No more self made distractions. Choose to be fully present and fill your life with meaningful memories that you won't forget.
And here's the beautiful thing about that. Again, a mentor of mine who passed away last year, also, his name's Don Enright. In our head, I'll call it a blockbuster video store, but most people don't know what those are called anymore. So let's call it a Netflix or whatever you want to call it. There
Yeah.
are so many amazing videos in our head, right? But
Mm.
why do we choose not to focus on those really cool ones? We've been conditioned not to feel good by society. We forget to take a look at our journey, but just take time and look at your life and go, man, pretty cool. Yeah. Oh, pretty cool. But take back and look at your life again
Yeah.
while you still can. Do it in the present. And again, you know what? Wow, I'm kind of cool. And women, especially women, have the ability to create life. Pat yourself on the back and say, man, look at that guy, man. Kind of badass. And quit sitting there saying, man, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. When you have that would have, could have, should have mindset, how's it working out for you? Now,
Yeah. I like that question. You asked that question.
how is it working out for you?
How's it working out? Yeah.
You have to have the ability to talk to yourself. And I'm telling you, yes, I'm a whack job. I talk to myself all the time. Look at your story. There's all these great things to look at. So you know what? Yeah, can I find ugliness in that? I went through custody with my daughter since she was 2 weeks old, okay, up until the time she was 18. Okay, I'd go to this particular courthouse and it would make me sick, literally sick. I'd hyperventilate, I'd get sick. But when I look at that back now, and even when my daughter was a victim of a sex crime, I look at all that stuff back now, and this is going to really sound weird to your audience. I am so thankful, like broken tears, thankful and grateful because who I am today is because of that. The journey I went through of battling in court, several times a month for 15 years straight until minors council got involved. And yeah, at that time I thought it was horrible. That was the worst thing. I hated that
Yeah.
building. And I look back at it now, pretty awesome, pretty freaking awesome that I was able to show that a man can be a dad and a mom together and balance that feminine and masculine. And it was okay for a 6 foot, 200 pound man to be emotional. And
Mm.
for women, going back to your question a little bit on the second one before, is women need to figure out what type of woman are they? Are they going to be what society tells them? And also now you have to be this over masculine person to compete in the male dominant society? Or are you going to go back to who you really are, where you can be sensual, you can be smart, you can be nurturing, you can be all those things, and you can dress with class and elegant, but you don't have to walk around like whatever. There's still a way for you to balance your feminine and masculine because any man that has an ounce of integrity wants a woman that's going to tell us, what the frick are you doing? Like, why did you just do that?
Yeah.
And if you're in a relationship and you can't talk like that to your companion, you're not respecting yourself.
Mm. You had said if you drink from the cup of power and money, you'll never be satisfied.
How many times do you want to refill that cup? I mean, that seems to be like a whole lot of work, right?
Yeah.
you met me at this Aspire tour, and I do a lot with that tour. And there's different tours I go on, and I see people gravitate to me from the monetary aspect.
Mhm.
They don't want to get to know who Alex Peykoff is, a man who came from a very stressed life to a stressless life, a man that had all the monetary things you'd want in the world, but I was extremely miserable. They want to just know, how do I get his financial wealth? How do I get these material assets? And the problem with drinking from that cup is banks can take that cup from you. You're living that life where you need all this stuff. All that stuff can get repossessed. You know what can't get repossessed?
Mhm.
Your life's memories. An education can't get repossessed. So I want to have something that I'm in control of.
Yeah.
And I'm in control of my feelings, whether they're good or bad, I control them. But if I'm searching for the power, that cup of power, that cup is changing depending what the economy is doing or how people revalue what a monetary thing is. Oh, you have the brand new Lamborghini. Okay, well now do you have the new Bugatti? Oh, now I need a bigger cup.
Yeah.
I just stick with what feels good and and impacting people. And another
Yeah.
thing, that wealth cup, what do you do with it on the day that you know? My mother was tired of living. She had a good life, and it wasn't about the money for her. She was about the memories. And I know, you know, she was talking about, and she was young. She's only 86. She was. I'm tired. I've had a good life. If God needs me to go, I'll go. Right? She died, not as planned, but I know she wasn't sitting there with that cup.
Yeah.
I know she was looking at that going, the memory. She'd always talk about, man, I had a good life. All those vacations you went on, all those memories of Mia and the grandkids. That's what it's about. Have
Mhm.
something you can control. Not because you have to get a bigger cup or a
Yeah.
smaller cup. Just have something that the Blockbuster video store in your head. Take that with you wherever you want to go. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Just drinking from that. First of all, why do you want to be drinking from a cup? Wouldn't you want to just have something that's just, you just sit there and go, hey, Mr. Hart, give me some good vibes, right? I mean, it's a shorter path. And it travels with me. I know that sounds really weird. I'm just saying, look, I want to be in control of how I feel.
Yeah.
The way to do that is to make sure I'm being vulnerable, authentic, and as genuine as I possibly can be with no regrets. If you're sipping from that money cup, you're gonna have regrets your whole freaking life.
Well, it's interesting because I'm noticing like in our society today, especially with the new adult generation that's coming up, there's this idea like I don't want material wealth, I just want financial independence. And so I'm noticing with a lot of like my younger clients, they don't want a house, they don't want kids, they don't want pets, they don't want anything. They just want to be free to travel, explore, do what they want. And I feel like it's still drinking from that same cup, masked in the identity of freedom. But like what I'm hearing you say is like you don't need a cup. It's right here. Like we can tap into it right here and now, right? You talk about presence a lot in your book. Can you speak more on that?
The only way to be present, and this story is, and I talk about the story a lot. I had to, no matter how many times I tell it, it doesn't feel good. But I had to learn about presence the hardest way. I had to learn the hardest way. And the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now is I want people to not have to go through what I went through. So, and I tell a story to your audience. So I was living in Southern California in an area called Laguna Beach in a development called Emerald Bay. It's considered one of the most affluent communities around. Had an amazing ocean view house. A lot of people like to know numbers to it, but let's say it was in excess of $5 million plus or minus. And my daughter at that time was 15, and I'm working on a deal. I'm doing business, trying to get more money, and I'm selling a particular word I own to this company called Viacom. So I was physically present. I found out this world doesn't really matter. I wasn't emotionally present, and during this time, my daughter was struggling a lot because I wasn't there. I wasn't emotionally there, and I was so consumed with this cup and getting an extra $1 million or whatever the magic number was, or maybe it was a sense of I needed some validation from my dad or from society. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't what was important to me today. Right? There was something that said you need this, or maybe there was maybe I wasn't telling myself the truth. Maybe I thought I needed more money because it made me feel better, or fix from not being able to bounce my masculine and feminine or whatever it was, right? So long story short, she becomes a victim of a sex crime. When all this is processed in California, you go to forensic hospitals. So we go to a forensic hospital in Fountain Valley, and I see my daughter there, and she can't make eye contact with me because she felt she did something wrong.
Mhm.
I did something wrong. I wasn't emotionally present. So to be emotionally present, you have to remember what's important to you. What's important to you? Why are you waking up every day? If you're waking up every day to make an extra $4 or $5, whatever it is, you've got some major problems.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to be as honest as I can because you ask anybody that's getting ready to die, they don't give a rat's patootie about how much money they have. They want one more thing. You know what they want? They want more time.
Time. Yeah.
And you can't get time. We can get more energy. We can have more energy credits like we talked about earlier, but it's time. So you have to figure out why you're doing what you're doing. And if you think you're invincible, you're an idiot. I'm 60
Mhm.
years old, right? I've lived a great life. I don't have any regrets, but I'm emotionally present. 9 times out of 10 I'm on stage, I'm crying. You know why? I'm emotionally present. What I'm talking about, I feel it. And I want people to feel it so they can learn from my journey so they don't have to go through that. But to do that, you have to go back to what we were talking about respect. You have to start telling yourself the truth. You need to start telling yourself the truth. And it's really easy because I'm going to go back to what we talked about. Guarantee you, look at your life right now and ask yourself a simple question. How's it working for you?
Mhm.
Okay? Most people aren't happy because they're not focusing enough on themselves. I'm not telling you to be selfish or selfless. I'm telling you to do what feels good. And when you start taking care of yourself, you will realize the world changes.
Mhm.
So it's really about being emotionally present. And to do that, that means this thing right here, I can turn this phone right down. It will go to how many screen time I've been on it. My number is very small. Okay. People watching Netflix 3, 4 hours a day. Are we emotionally present? No. If we're engaging that phone, are we emotionally present? Are we listening to everybody else's crap? Are we emotionally present? No. Emotionally present. Go and just play back the videos in your head or even play back the video from this morning and just sit there and connect. And you know what? Go and tell somebody something how you feel. By the way, I was thinking about something you said today and I want to say thank you. It makes you feel so damn good and it's
It
free.
does.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this one story on the subject. I was at a health club, and it's in a medical building, and this woman's walking on the parking lot, and she's got this beautiful flowery dress on, and have told myself since you know Memorial Weekend 10 years ago that I'm gonna be. Yeah, I'm just gonna be present. I'm gonna be emotionally present. I'm not gonna to do stuff. I'm gonna just be. And I tell this lady, oh my gosh, that's a floral dress. She looked lit up like I just told her she was a supermodel. Okay, and she's telling me, oh, I got it at this store. And she goes on this whole story. I knew I made her day. Was I physically present? Who the freak cares? I was emotionally present, and now I'm like, man, I'm kind of a badass. Woo-hoo! Just changed this woman's life, right? And I guarantee you, she went and told somebody else
Yeah.
what something. That's what it's about. You have to start practicing doing it, okay? And just tell people if you feel something, say it.
Mm.
Not like, oh my gosh, I should have said something because now you're like, oh damn. I tell people something all the time.
Yeah. I love that presence. There was this quote that you had mentioned from Esther Perel said, "Do you know a single person who would treat their business the way some people treat their relationships? The business would be dead. But the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships."
The book is really simple. It's really, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. So we treat things as commodities, unfortunately. And we've treated human beings that way because our society's programmed us to make money. So a business is money and it's tangible. And do you see how cool I am? I've got this business, I've got this big house, roar, right? But why would you dehumanize a human being? Why would you put a dollar value on a human being?
Mm.
Right? And that goes back to emotional debt and the labeling where society's telling you this is what makes you a human. You want to be this, person have all these things. You can control people. Most business people, the only time they feel in control is in that dynamic. When they come back home, they're not in control.
Mhm.
So they try to bring that dynamic home.
Mhm.
instead of focusing on what really feels good. A friend of mine, his name is Garrett White. He focuses a lot on men. Most of his clients are men, and he talks about that dynamic of how to get them to have actually be vulnerable and be real and show their emotion, right? But it's hard to do because people can't flip that switch. I had that problem, right? Here I'm being a business person. I forgot to flip the switch off. Wait, I'm a dad. I help create something that is one of the greatest gifts God can give us as a human being. And so again, you start taking that business dynamic and you start devaluing human beings. You're not going to change that individual, in my opinion, but you can change you and how that person treats you, right? It's a lot easier, and we'll go back to the word fix. Well, it's a lot easier to fix yourself, than fix somebody else. But instead of fixing, how about if we just transform,
Mhm.
right? And transform back to that person we were when we came out of that womb, which was we were sponges, we were loving, we didn't have all the battle wounds on us. Go back to that person. We can do that, but we've got to focus on why we became so hardened and why we forgot to feel, why we were afraid to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a superpower.
Mhm.
Years I used to cry a lot. And my dad said, "Don't cry. It's a sign of weakness. It doesn't. It's not going to make money." I realized after the thousands and thousands of people I've spoken to around the world is being a man and crying on stage. Other men go, "Dude, that was pretty freaking impressive."
Mhm.
They start crying because now they know it's okay. And plus the fact that I'm a little older than the average guy out there, it resonates. So just do what feels good. Stop worrying what other people think about you. Here's the thing. When you do that, it's poison. And as soon as you let a little bit of that poison in your brain, it's going to start consuming it. It doesn't matter what somebody thinks of you. It honestly doesn't. But society has told us it does. It doesn't. It has no upside to it. You
Mhm.
should be able to validate yourself and look at your journey and say, man, I'm pretty cool. And if someone wants to say you're a piece of crap or you're this or that, who the frick cares?
Yeah.
Don't give it any value.
I think a lot of us, and I'll speak for us as like me and my audience, is we want to show up for ourselves in the way that we expect ourselves. And that kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation where what is that idealistic definition framed from? Like whose idea is it? And why is it that we need to check all of these boxes in order to feel like we are showing up for our family. We're doing the best for our team. We are, being leaders in the community. And all this really ties back to everything you're saying. It's like who put that idea there? How's it working out? And why are we wasting all our energy, our time really, and energy trying to fulfill this imaginary, resume that we created for ourselves? I mean, it's self-imposed.
Well, I'm going to say, and I don't want to offend anybody, but listening to what you said, it was very articulate, right? But if you play this back, you'll listen to what you said, and how dumb does it sound what you just said? And I
Hmm.
mean that, and I mean that, and
Yeah.
I don't want to offend anybody. Say like, you just realize you're smart to know, like, I just saw all these things, and I'm going to go do that tomorrow again. Again, you got this, and I'm sorry, I'm a big proponent of females. I learned a lot raising my daughter. You guys have all the power. The
Hmm.
world doesn't work without females. It doesn't. I mean, I have somebody debate that with me, you'll lose all the time. It doesn't work. It's pretty hard for a man to create life without a female. Just how it works. So focus on you. When's the last time anybody else has really done something for themselves?
Hmm.
When's the last time you've decided to be selfish for yourself? Right? You're always being selfless because that's just the maternal instinct. You guys are naturally just selfless, and you're selfless, and you're caring, you're nurturing. That's just how women are naturally, right? But when have you actually sit there and done something for you and told yourself you got? I'm telling you, I know I'm spitting out lots of. You got to look at how amazing you are and look at your journey, regardless of what someone's telling you. Say you're not good enough. You're not a good daughter. You're not a good worker. You're not a good wife. You're not a good mom. That's all bullshit. You're only as good as you tell yourself you are. Tell yourself the truth. If you've made some hiccups, it's okay. I've made hiccups in my life. I own them. But I also said, man, really screwed up that day that happened to my daughter. Man, I go, you know what? I'm never going to do it again. And I go forward.
Yeah.
You got to quit giving people your power. You guys have, again, I'll go back to this. And some people like this story, some people don't. Cleopatra, I know people hate the word goddess, right? But this woman was a goddess by the definition of goddess. She wasn't the most attractive woman. She was very smart. She was very sensual, but she controlled everything through her woman power, right? It's kind of a cool thing. Mary Tyler Moore, I recommend all your audience to watch the Mary Tyler Moore documentary. It's amazing. So here's a woman who redefined what a woman was supposed to be. Society was telling them when the husband comes home, have all your makeup on, your hair all done, and be vacuuming with a short skirt on and your heels and all that. And she said, that's not how this rolls. I can be this powerhouse woman that can still be nurturing, maternal, and sensual and all those type of things. Go back to what makes you feel good. If the person you're with, friendship, whatever it is, doesn't respect that, it's okay because you're respecting yourself. Okay. And it's way better to be happy than be unhappy because what happens, here's the crazy thing, life is going to end. Okay. And it's going to end faster than you think. So start doing things that feel good for you and quit being it's called a drama triangle. You're in that pleasing mode where you want to please everybody. How about taking care of yourself just one day, maybe just for an hour, and see how it feels good?
Love that. At this stage of your life, how would you, in your own words, define success?
I don't use that word, as weird as that sounds. I use it in certain conversations, but I don't describe it as the word I like better is happiness. Success, again, no matter how many ways I define it myself, there's so many other definitions of it. My definition loses it. And success has different levels, right?
Yeah.
For happiness, I'm pretty freaking happy. You know what I love about being happy is this different section I've been in my life for the last 4 years is I'm impacting people. And so if you want to tie it into success, I would say success is about impact and creating a legacy that lives on and knowing you change people's lives. Of some of the kids I've gotten to college, there are text messages on my phone from their moms thinking that I'm this amazing human being that their kids couldn't have gone to college without me. That's kind of a cool thing. I don't think it's true, but they seem to believe that. So that's pretty much happy, and that's pretty much badass.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to go to school. They didn't know how. They didn't know how to fill out FAFSA. They didn't know, I flew them to a certain college to look at college. They didn't know how to do that process. One woman thinks, Jesus brought me into their life, all these different things. So is that success? I don't know. Is it satisfying? Pretty damn satisfying.
Yeah.
Damn satisfying that I have kids that call me up and treat me like I'm their uncle or whatever, and are so thankful that if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be where they are in their life. They wouldn't know what to do. That's let me rephrase that. No one's going to redefine what that looks like for me. Success is constantly getting redefined. Happiness is always happy. It's always pretty happy. And success is like, oh, last year I thought I was successful because I made, let's just take 10 years ago I thought I was successful. I made $1 million. Well, now you make $1 million, whatever. I mean, I'm being sarcastic, right? So that level of success changes. Happiness, man, there's kids they're 2 years old that are happy. There's dogs that are lying on the street happy. I'd rather just be happy than success.
Yeah.
I'd rather sit there and have these type of communications and get off this podcast and say, man, that was so satisfying. I impacted people. I feel so good that I was able to tell my story and let my heart live. And there's no dollar value attached to it. Whereas success, in my mind, there's always a dollar value attached to it. Go through society attaching a dollar value to something. I do believe it's a really unfortunate way to live.
Yeah. That's fire. You effectively have created your own Alex effect. You were talking about the butterfly effect and how Mia, your daughter, had a Mia effect. And it's like, I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and sharing your book with me. I'm so happy we created this connection because you have created an Alex effect in my life. This gives me a lot to think about. And I think there's just so much gold in all of this. I told my kids today, I was like, you got to read this book. They're like, I'm talking to this friend of mine. You got to read his book. It's amazing. You told me earlier before we started this call that you really want to impact people's lives and you wanted to offer people a chance to get to connect with you.
Yeah. So, anytime you do these type of things, people call it a call to action, right? And, I've done enough of these podcasts that they're people never really follow up on the call to action. So when I was talking to you earlier, I said, let's do something to really help people because it really is about helping. I'm not up here just talking just to talk, right? I don't need to sit, damn, that was fun. I had a good time. Give myself a hug. I'm an open book, right? So I'm telling your audience right now, you can DM me. Okay. I'm sure everybody's got Instagram. DM me. I will give everybody that DMs me, I will give them a 30-minute conversation, consult, coaching, whatever fancy word you want to use it. I like to be called a transformation titan or a catalyst to help you in the next phase of your life. It is absolutely free. I actually will respond to the DM, Alex Peykoff, not Alex Peykoff 2.0. That's my daughter. I'm kidding. But it will actually be me that responds to you. This is important to me. I'm not doing this stuff to blow up my ego or sit there and create some stupid another $2 or $3. I'm trying to do this because I've been where most of your audience has been, and I know a lot of people that have been in this situation, and I want to truly help because in life it's about sharing and having connections. So I almost sound like I'm begging because I'm not going to do anything, but please DM me, okay? And Alex Peykoff will actually respond to you, okay?
We're friends. I know. I'm telling you guys, it's a real deal.
Well, she did DM me, and then again, if you want to pick up the book, go buy the book. But it's not be all end all. That's my spiel. Look, just DM me. Okay? If Guido's going to come to your house and DM you personally.
What a gift, man, for you to give your time, your wisdom. Thank you so much for coming here. This means so much to me, and I know it means a lot to my audience. I'm looking forward to, our next chat and continuing to learn from one another. So thanks for just the impact, and I know your heart's in it. Like, it means a lot. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And like I said, thank you so much again. Have a great, great day.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you.
Bye.